Welcome to Knights of the Roll Table. This is Season 5, Episode 0.
Oh!
Hey, Season 5. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Wow.
It's hard to believe we've been doing this for 5 years.
That's not how it works.
The show is going to kindergarten.
It's a little over 2 years, if you can believe that. Because we have short seasons. And my name is Chris Daly, and I will be DMing Season 5. You might know me from previous hits as Season 2 or Gravely. And I don't have the whole cast with me because of reasons which I'll explain in just a few minutes, but let me introduce who is virtually with me in the room. On my virtual left, we have Jeff Frank.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Jeff Frank.
On my virtual right, we have Matt Messerman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt.
And Zach and Jen and Carlos are not here because they are going to be playing characters in Season 5 that we've already seen or heard before. And you've seen them if you went to the Instagram to see all of the amazing artwork of the characters. But if you have not, you should do that. So Jeff and Matt are going to be playing brand new characters for Season 5. I got to play 2 new characters last season in Season 4 that Jeff DM'd. By the way, another golf clap round of applause for Jeff. You did a great job, and it was so much fun. And
you guys are the real stars.
It's going to be a tough act to follow to do a double party continuous campaign.
We're doing 3.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
We need to stop the one-upsmanship. Yeah, let's not do that. Season 12 cannot be 34
no
PC characters against each other.
Yeah, so this is gonna be hopefully a fun season. It's gonna be a little different with themes, but first of all, let's just talk about what a session 0 is. If you're listening to this for the first time, if this is your first episode for some reason, welcome. And what a session 0 is and why it's important, we've talked about this before in previous session 0s for our seasons, is it's sort of a setting up the ground rules for how your group can play together, things that everyone is comfortable with, things that are important to bring to the table in terms of gameplay, in terms of rules, in terms of what your players want to play. And it's also good to establish some real world kind of boundaries. Like if somebody's uncomfortable with something at the table because everybody's got maybe some triggers or things that they might be sensitive about in their past, you should have a way of identifying that. Some people use an X card. Some people just throw up a big X on the screen if they're doing it on Zoom. Some people say, hey, that's not cool, man. Let's veer off from that. However you feel is comfortable. Especially if you've never played with these people before and you've met up on Discord or whatever, and you need to establish some rules, you should have a session 0. So previous session 0s that we've had, we've talked about what do we want to do in the current campaign. You know, like we want to have, like, I made the mistake of saying, I want more shopping episodes for Season 3, and Jeff gave us half an hour list of things you can buy, which was awesome. So we definitely did some shopping. We shopped for corn, we shopped for almonds, we shopped for all kinds of stuff. And that was great. In Season 4, we had a episode specifically talking about ancestry and backgrounds, because there was an important PDF supplement that came out that we felt really strongly about, kind of incorporating instead of using the term race, we wanted to kind of embrace using sort of what Pathfinder has already done and some other gaming systems have already done. Instead of saying like, what race are you? We were saying, what ancestry are you? So, and you can have a character that has a certain ancestry and a certain class, a certain background. Maybe you're an orc that grew up with halflings, or in the case of Igneous, who Zach played, he was a Phoenix born, which is kind of he was grew up in the fire realm, and he had a different culture. So ancestry and culture. Yeah. So this season, our session 0 for this season is we're going to kind of go over coming up with a character and creating new characters and kind of creating a shared backstory for players that will be playing together. So with Matt and Jeff, we're going to go through what their new characters are. We're going to talk a little bit about their abilities. We're going to do some mechanics, kind of reviewing. I like to, as a DM, go through the character abilities with them, especially since we're starting at level 9. It's a little bit higher level. So there's a lot of little things they can do, and we tend to homebrew some stuff. So we want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. I remember, just to already divert your thing here, I remember one of the early times I was playing D&D, I was jumping into a group that had been playing for years with the same group of people. And they were like, yeah, come and join us. And I think I had to make like a level 14 character.
Oh, geez.
And I hadn't played on 3.5 before. And 3.5 was not easy to make a level 1 character.
Yeah.
And I think we spent the first session 0 was just helping me figure out like, and rolling, because you had to roll skills like every time. And it was just like, it took 5 hours.
Like a calculus test.
It really was. And like by the time I was done, like with the character sheet, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a lot easier. But certainly for starting here at level 9, even you know, I think we're all pretty experienced in this game, and it is still like, oh yeah, and this, and let's see, I'd have to add that on. So yeah, it's an experience.
Yeah. Well, two things, and that's a great point, Jeff, because there's two things I want to kind of mention about that. Is one, there's a lot of people that have played D&D for a long time that might be a little gatekeepery about, you know, well, 3.5 is way better, 4, you know, edition 4. And one, those people are jerks and they should not. Anybody can play this game, and it's meant for everybody, any age, any gender, any gender preference, any background, any ancestry, any culture. So it's welcome to anyone, and no one should not play because they you know, the people that have been playing for a while are like, well, it's too easy now, you know, and I think that's ridiculous.
Great. If you find it too easy, homebrew your own campaign that's harder.
Yeah. There's other games. And look, if you want to play a game that's heavy in mechanics and you want to play 3.5 or you want to play Pathfinder or whatever, that's fine. Just, you know, find people that want to play that. One nice thing about 5th edition specifically is they made it, I want to say, less about the statistics, because there are many things to do with math, but they made it easier, I think, for people to get into. And now there's also, with apps and tons of websites that people have made, there's so many ways to easily help you kind of through that process that can hold your hand. You know, there's easy character builders. There's things that'll just do it for you. If you say like, make me a character that's level 8, and it'll just do it for you. But yeah, so there's a lot of ways. It's much easier to get into now, I think. And I know when I was first starting, it was a little intimidating, but I had people that would help me. So
some of the things are so like unnecessarily redundant, like adding your skills and then like recalculating all these things at every level. Like the way that they've collapsed those things down into proficiency, advantage, and disadvantage is like fantastic. It's so much more streamlined.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I ever played D&D, I made my character up in Lotus Notes. So I'll tell you how long ago that was.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, so let's get started reviewing some of our characters today. So, Jeff, why don't we start with you?
Okay.
You're going to be playing a new character. The last character you actually played that was new was, I believe, in season 2, which was Massimo Lionheart, aka Bart, the Big Bart.
Yes.
Because you played XX Bloody Heart in season 3 again. He kind of came back briefly, and you know, as a little bit of a curiosity, in season 4, and spoilers if you have not listened to season 4, some of the party from Castor City found in the Red Wizard's Tower some of the items and inventory from XX Bloody Heart. So you kind of left me a dangling thread there, because we don't know what happened to him, and you're no longer DMing. So I'm just wondering, you don't have to tell me, like, did you have an idea of what happened to him, or is that kind of open to interpretation, or what should I do with that?
I leave it to my creative predecessors and to the fans to speculate.
Okay. All right. That's kind of what I was hoping, is that it was sort of like a little carrot and you can be like, take this and run with it.
Exactly. I wanted something that if any of that made sense to you guys, which it did, but if it also made sense to anybody who was listening along, hopefully it kind of could pique some curiosity was my intention. Where that goes it's out of my hands.
Yeah. It's certainly made a couple of hearts skip. You're like, oh no, what does that mean? And we didn't get sort of an unanswered question. So Jeff, tell us the name of your new character. What is their ancestry and culture? What is their class? And we'll kind of go through a little bit from them.
All right. So my character's name is Theodore Clovenshep of Clan Malthu, and he is of Orcish ancestry, but has more of a human type of culture, more centered around the human way of life. And he is going to be a druid, and I'm designing them around being a summoner. So someone who is, instead of doing the druid thing of becoming an animal, I had the idea to I really wanted to try and see how much I could do summoning creatures to fight for him as opposed to changing this. So I wanted to see if I could do something around that. So a druid summoner.
Nice. That's awesome. And just to be clear, you said orc, not half orc.
Yes.
So like full orc.
Full orc. He's not very strong. I didn't take the cultural parts of the orcish culture. I don't know if we want to dive into backstory now, but
not quite yet.
So like the ancestry stuff, like I assume orcs have like a +2 to strength or something. You didn't take that. That's what you're saying?
Right. So I didn't take any of that stuff.
They have some certain abilities because they are orcs. Like
right. So like his size, like he is a very tall person, has the teeth that
tusks.
Yeah, the tusks that protrude, is very tall, not very strong in particular. And that comes mainly from his background. He didn't come from being a fighter, but he's a shepherd by trade.
And what does he look like? What is his kind of? Does he wear robes or skins, or does he have a staff, or like what do you see him as?
Well, he definitely, his main weapon that he has is like a shepherd's crook, right? The long stick with the hook on the end.
Big hook on it.
Yeah. Okay. Is just a tool that he, has used and is now part of that. Definitely his armor, it's very kind of crafted together. It's made from hides, from animal hides. So he has a hide armor, and, obviously like super natural materials, but is also handmade. He is able to make his own things. He enjoys making. His background as a clan crafter, a clan craftsman, which comes from his upbringing, being in his orcish tribe and being a shepherd. He would have been making all of his tools and making the things that he would need while he's out tending his herd and all of those things. So it's definitely a homemade look that he has to him in his clothes. Very simple and homemade.
So he sounds very like much live off the land. We appreciate what the land is giving to us and we give it back, and that kind of thing. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk more about his backstory in a minute. Matt, let's talk about your character.
So my character's name is, my daughter came up with this one. Melbin Gelrod. Not Melvin, but Melbin with a B. Gelrod.
Melbin.
Yep.
All right.
He is a human paladin. I have never played either of those things in all my years.
Okay. Excellent.
Never played a human, and I've never played a paladin. So it'll be.
Did you take the human variant?
No, I just went with the straight across the board. Give me the +1s to everything.
Okay.
It's trying to go like old school, even though it's not old school for me.
This is vanilla, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us more.
So looks wise, he's like 5'11". He's younger. He's like 26. Blue eyes, dirty blonde hair. Yeah. Kind of your typical looking, what you would expect of that. Background wise, he's very much a human, right? Like culturally, he's human. His background is City Watch, but I have him not. That is his like before he became a paladin life in my mind. Like one day he saw a really nice sunset and decided to devote his life to truth and beauty. So like down that
path. Now, are you going to play him as like an overly valiant, like Dudley Do-Right kind of guy? Like he's always kind of like, ha, like,
yeah,
or
that's
is
actually almost his voice.
Or is he kind of like, has he seen the cracks in the system, like Captain America and Winter Soldier, like where he's sort of like now he doesn't trust things? Like is it like at what stage in his?
I think he's kind of transitioning from the Dudley Do-Right to the more jaded. The way I have him is he was sort of like a lawful neutral character when he was City Watch, and he's slowly transitioning to more like neutral good.
Yeah,
which isn't a huge transition, but I trust the law.
Judy Hopps at the end of Zootopia.
Yes.
Instead of Judy Hopps at the beginning of Zootopia.
Exactly. Yeah. And
for all of our Disney fans out there.
Stay tuned for our Dads on Kids Movies podcast companion piece for this.
Oh, let's do that.
I'm down. Let's do it.
I can't start another podcast.
It'll be Jeff and I, and you can guest.
Oh my God. I'll just executive produce. Okay. That sounds awesome. So we have a human paladin and an orc raised by humans. I almost said rogue, druid. Yeah. An orc raised by humans, druid. Okay.
Oh, for Gelbin, or Melbourne rather.
Melbourne.
For Melbourne, I went with Oath of the Ancients, which is more of a naturey paladin. Because he's got like nature's wrath and all that stuff.
Okay, so they're both kind of nature based, which is interesting too.
So maybe they know each other. I haven't really done much backstory wise with this guy.
Well, bumped into each other in nature.
Did you guys think of where in the world or like a realm that you might be from, or are you kind of open to suggestions there?
For Melbourne, I thought he'd probably be in one of the larger cities, but I'm not really tied to anything. I figured that would be a good thing to discuss here.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think Theo's tribe was, nomadic in nature, maybe in kind of open grasslandish area, but, not... I don't know where that makes sense geographically on our map, right? If it's south or north or whatever, but kind of in the plains, as it were.
Okay, in the plains, sure. Yeah, I can look at our world map that we're sort of slowly building that I think will become a little bit more revealed this season, maybe. And I'll give you a suggestion of like where specifically you're from. I don't think it might not come into play immediately, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I'll give you a couple options, and then you and I can kind of decide that offline, Jeff.
Sure.
So let's talk about backstory. So Jeff came up with some backstory for Theo, and I have an idea of how you guys met with a shared acquaintance. Jeff, do you want to share kind of what you kind of a brief synopsis of kind of what you came up with Theo? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, so he grew up in a orcish tribe and was, trained to be a shepherd and to take care of the sheep and buffalo and goats and all the different animals that they tended to. He really enjoyed, his specialty was in animal healing and to like help animals. And so that's a little bit where that druid nature connection, being out in these open fields, having to camp along with the herds that he would be moving from place to place.
Yeah.
What kind of sparked his him leaving his tribe was that one day there was a sheep that was born that had wool that was metallic and prickly and almost as if it were made of steel. And it was such a strange thing. And when the clan found out about it, whenever there would be animals that wouldn't survive or would be, to end the suffering of a lifelong creature, if these were born, they would, euthanize them. And so the clan had said, you have to euthanize this abomination. This isn't right. But Theo was, insistent on that not happening. And so left in the middle of the night with this sheep. And so he's been traveling along with his sheep, which he named Rebecca with 2 Ks and an AH.
It's very, very biblical.
Rebecca.
That's how they say Rebecca. Yeah.
And so he's been wandering. Since then, he was able to use his knowledge of medicine and to channel his nature
druidic ability.
Yeah, to kind of help people out and to kind of join adventuring parties and help them out. He was always a little more interested in that than I think his orcish upbringing culture, which is I think why he's not like, he wasn't banished, but he was like, I'm out of here. Whatever, Mom, I'm moving out. You guys just don't get me. I'm not like you, man.
Did he ever learn from another druid or anybody teach him some of the druid, abilities?
I don't think anybody outside of his, maybe there was some people in his clan that knew about that, or maybe there was somebody in that he met in his adventuring life.
Mm-hmm. Has he ever been with a party before? Because you're at level 9, so
yeah, I think what he would have done and what his kind of bigger kind of quest is he wants to try and find somebody who will like record knowledge of this sheep. He feels like it's such an unusual thing to have happened that like he wants it in an encyclopedia or an almanac or something. Like there's something like somebody needs to see this to know that it's important, but he hasn't really ran into anybody like that. So I think he's kind of been adventuring with people to travel, but also to meet people who are powerful, also to meet people who are smarter than he is and more, have different backgrounds and access to things that, that can help him on getting Rebecca noted by the scientific community.
Yeah. Sounds like he's kind of like, he realizes, well, I shouldn't go alone. It's better to travel with other people.
Yeah.
I'm not really a leader. Is he a leader? He's more of a follower, but he's a shepherd. So he's kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah. Like he's comfortable leading animals and healing animals, but like, if there's like a big crowd of people, it's like,
sure.
I don't know how to navigate like city life. Like, how do you ask?
But he kind of travels along with another party and helps out because he knows he can help with healing and with magic.
Yeah. And I think that's been part of his, like, what has made people want to have him join is he does have a good amount of healing knowledge. I took a feat for that too, to give him a boost on healing. So,
and then FYI, just mechanically, I allowed Jeff and Matt's characters to have 1 feat. I think, Jeff, you forgoed the ability score increase at level 4 and level 8 to take other feats. Is that right?
So I didn't take any feats for the human variant. I didn't take any abilities, the +1 on each.
Yeah, the human variant.
Yeah, so
gets one. So
I just have 2 feats. So I have the one that you said that we could have, and then the starting one.
Gotcha. Okay, understood. All right.
So you did your normal ability score increase at 4 and 8?
I did, yes, because
okay.
I didn't roll great. He's pretty average.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty average.
Human variant starts with a feat. I think they kind of like get a feat right from the beginning, so that's kind of cool about the human variant. Whereas the regular human, which we'll find out from Matt, he kind of has a lot of +1s to everything, so he's kind of a little bit of a well-rounded, bonus to begin with, but it sort of depends on how you roll. So, and we rolled these characters, roll 46, drop the lowest, which is popular way we always roll our characters like that. So that's cool. So as far as Theo's getting into the knights, so I told Jeff and Matt that these characters would already be knights of the realm, to kind of skip ahead and not have to go through like the whole like induction, like what is this and who are these people, and like at this point in season 5 we know who they are. We've already seen kind of the mysterious process. We've seen like what they have to do to become a knight. Now we've seen what they have to do to trust each other with season 4. And we've seen the kind of greater threat that the world is facing with all of these usurpers, all of these despots that are, and I've been, by the way, maybe you guys can help me. I've been trying to brainstorm a term for all of the evil rulers. I don't want to call them, they're not going to call themselves the evil rulers, and we're assuming that they're all members of the Platinum Syndicate. But what are they referred to? What do they call themselves? Are they despots? Are they like, do they call themselves
supreme rulers?
Rulers, yeah, supreme rulers, chancellors. I know, but then you have somebody like Gohol the Brutal, who is a big, brutal, Ifrit, and then you have somebody like Captain Dropoff, who from season 3, who was kind of almost about to take over the realm of Popolona. So yeah, I was trying to think of like a good term for like, what would these villains call each other?
What if they just think they're? I mean, I assume they all think that they're better than everyone, because that seems in line with everyone we've met so far. Maybe they just call each other the elites.
Oh, that's good.
The new world order, the new realms order.
NWO.
Oh God, I would love that.
Because that's nice, because it could be something that has sort of passed through to the common folk, like, oh, the elites, the elite that is in charge of this realm is so and so, but then like they refer to each other as because I think we've established in continuity that they're competing with each other to become the winner of the Hunger Games, or of the winner of the of this mysterious Platinum Syndicate contest that is happening. So,
yeah, so
I might have them refer to each other as candidates.
Oh, I like that.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, because it seems like the Platinum Syndicate as a organization is not well known because we didn't all immediately go, aha, the Platinum Syndicate, as it's come up. But yeah, I could see something like the elites being what the people call them, and then candidates being what they call themselves. But then, of course, their actual organization is Platinum Syndicate.
Yeah, I didn't want to keep saying like, well, what are all the other evil rulers of the realm? It's a big mouthful. All right, so the elites, that's great. So at some point, Theo and Melvin become knights, and Jeff, you actually had a suggestion of somebody named Anastasia, who I kind of added in that she was an elven sorcerer, and she found both of you kind of in journey, and she already had some other people with her, and throughout the journey, I think she probably found Theo first, kind of on the road, as he was traveling, and he was able to help. He's sort of like offered to help, and she saw him and saw his talent and raw talent, and said, hey, why don't you travel with us? You already have some abilities. And after seeing a couple of events, and sort of he just continued to help out, that she inducted him into the Knights. As far as Melvin, I think it was a little bit more like Melvin wanted to go with them, and she was like, it's okay, you should protect, like, you have an ability to stay here. Like, maybe they were in a city, and he was able to like get in there and like prove his worth. And then he eventually was like, okay, you can come with us. Like it's dangerous. But you should come.
I can see that.
And the idea that I have with Melbourne, if it's okay with you, Matt, is that you're actually that maybe you were the city watch in Valentrell, which is where some of this season will take place. So it's a big city. It's in the realm of Valkara, which we've mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
It's where Jarek's dad, Eric, is from, in the city of Valentrell.
Eric Darkharbor.
It's a realm that if you've listened to season 2, Marcatia, it's right above Marcatia. So so I think if it's okay with you, then we can say Melbourne was with the City Watch. At some point, Anastasia and her party, which included Theo, came into Valentrell, and that's where you sort of met up with them and saw their abilities, and you were like, oh, are you guys adventurers? And you sort of became enamored with the adventurer life because maybe City Watch life was too rigid and you wanted a little bit more.
The sort of the path I had in mind for Melbourne leaving the city was that he sort of became enamored with the idea of protecting truth and beauty and nature, all that stuff. And then I like the idea of him not knowing what to do with that until he runs into Anastasia and company. That works very well.
And like on the flip side of that, there's probably a dark side to, like, he wanted to protect truth and beauty, but in the City Watch, what do you think he saw that, like, the City Watch was not what he thought? Maybe there was something darker that, they were used for something else. Like, what do you think?
I don't want to get too political there.
No. I mean, let's.
But yeah, I just figure, he didn't much like the way the City Watch was being run. I view him as being city born and bred, right? He didn't really leave. So if Valentrell is a big city, which sounds like it is, that's perfect. And so he's basically been sheltered inside this city, and he only knows city life. Be like if somebody grew up in Manhattan and never went anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
And then went out, saw some nature, got out of his element, and was like, "Oh, this is what life is." And then he came back to the city. That was like on a vacation or something, and he came back, and he had to go back to like clubbing people over the head, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this."
Yeah,
no parking here.
You can't stand in the street. Go on, move along. Did he have any kind of a mentor or anybody that helped him, like in the City Watch or maybe outside, like somebody, like you said, he's Oath of the Agent, so somebody that maybe led him towards more of a nature-based path of worship or belief?
I hadn't thought about that. It's a good idea.
I should say before you answer is that Valentrell is known for its trade of fishing, lumber. It's also got a couple of like wineries and breweries, so it's kind of it has a lot of fermentation distributions and stuff like that. But it's also specifically it's known for not allowing magic. At least in the upper section. But Valentrell is also kind of known for a seedy underbelly. So like anybody that wants to use magic and do things that are not allowed because the City Watch is very large and because the council that runs the city is very strict about, certain things that are allowed. So if you want to do certain things like that, and you have to go in the underground.
What if there was like an old former druid or something, like a retired druid that lives in the city, in the underground, and he's someone that I ran into in policing that area, and then that I like that because what was your character's name again, Jeff? Theo. Since you're a druid, that would give us it would give me an affinity to you naturally.
Well, what about this? What if you guys met before you would have taken an oath and he is the druid? Like he's already at level 2, level 3 or whatever. And you just became enamored with Theo, who was very like, yeah, I'll tell you about life. And
I love that. Yeah.
I like the idea that you guys already have a bond when we meet, and maybe that's it. You know, like you kind of like, you're not going to be a druid, but you can kind of believe in the power of nature, and because paladins don't necessarily have to believe in a god, but they can believe in something. They should believe in like a mission or a, you know, sort of a better better life or a
And I did pick out a
life or
couple goddesses that I don't know if worship is the right thing, but he likes them because
he takes inspiration from them.
Yeah, because they're the I looked up the nature gods. Do
you remember who they are?
Yeah, I got Eldath, who's like the green goddess. Shanto, I don't know how to pronounce that. Who's the great mother grain goddess, and then
I like her salad
Myliki.
dressing.
Yeah,
Melora.
I think it's Myliki is the last one, who's like the forest queen. I liked all of them. They seemed reasonable as characters. I think those are the ones.
We'll probably pick one if we want to go with
So,
that. I mean, you don't have to have
Eldath is like the main one, I think, that he is probably striving towards, and then he's not but he's not monotheistic.
Sure.
Guys, why isn't Wizards of the Coast contracting with a brewery to make like beers that are named after the gods in these pantheons? Because like I would 100% drink a beer that was named after a goddess, and like you would just like match up.
Join us for our new podcast, Wizards of the Toast, where we talk about
you guys. I got a strategy for them. You can call me. I'll hook you guys.
We talk about each episode. We talk about a potential beer or wine or drink, microbrew that could be made based on some sort of D&D monster
lore.
class.
Yeah, it's got to fit in there. And how does it
Beholder
work?
brew.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mind Flayer Stout.
Yeah.
That'll blow your mind. Oh my gosh.
Chromatic ale.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We're going to come up with all these different new podcasts. Yeah. Okay. So good. Oh, so you guys know each other. I like that idea, if that's cool. That you kind of met in Valentrell. You kind of took your inspiration. You picked your oath. At that point, you had some adventures. You sort of did the things that knights do around, not necessarily in Volcara, but maybe you went outside of that. You kind of traveled around a bit.
I like the idea that this sort of stereotypical blonde hair, blue eyed paladin guy looks up to an orc. That works very well for this character.
Yeah, cool. So at some point, this is my idea for kind of how you came to where you are now. At some point in your journeys, let me find this. Okay. So you traveled with Anastasia, and you also traveled with two other knights that were brought in to your ranks that Anastasia was already traveling with. Their names were Corbear, who was a dwarf fighter, and Rayla, who is a half-elf rogue, and that's a female. And they were with you, and then at some point there was the Great Turmoil. So after that happened, and after you guys got word of that, almost the same night, you camped out at some point, and in the middle of the night, two of your ranks, Corbear and Rayla, turned on you in your sleep. There was a struggle. All of you kind of were fighting. You guys both woke up and realized that the two of them were trying to kill Anastasia, and you managed to fight them off, killing Corbear in your sleep. Killing Corbear. You did it in your sleep. It was so easy. No, you Corbear fell in battle, the dwarf fighter, but Rayla got away, but not without providing a fatal blow to Anastasia, your sort of knight mentor, and she did not survive. On her dying breath, Anastasia told you both that this is going to be a trying time in the realms, and you need to go back to seek out someone in Valentrell. the name that she gave you is Drake Bloodmoon.
It's a cool name.
So that's what you know. And then, unfortunately, after that, she died. So she passed. So you are left with a name and a mission, and you were kind of further away. You weren't even in Valkara at the time, so it's taken you a couple of months from that point to make it. And you were also kind of hunting a little bit for the half-elf Rayla that they got away, but she's a rogue, so she was very tricky, and they weren't able to find her.
Damn you, villain!
You thought you found her a couple times, but she was just one step ahead of you.
Is that the voice?
That's the voice.
God.
You fiend! Come back here!
How dare you?
It's like Marvin the Martian and who did you
is.
say earlier, Chris?
Dudley Do
Yeah.
Right.
Dudley Do. It's
Yeah.
like it mashed them up. There's actually a character that I posted about this on Facebook. He's like, ho ho, and I'm like, I cannot think of who that is, but he's like this. It was like this one note bit character somewhere that keeps popping in my head every time I do that voice, and I'm like, perfect. I'm just gonna.
Well, I don't know.
So yes, this is his voice.
Excellent.
And
Do
I
you
made
have a
sure I could
voice?
actually keep it up, unlike some of the
Do you
other
have a voice for Theo yet,
No, I'm.
Jeff?
You guys know.
So
You guys know.
I will say
I'm terrible at voices.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I will say just because thinking about physicality, I mean he's probably not going to sound like this because I mean he could sound like anything, but just as a can you do a lower?
This is my friend Melbourne. Me and nature go back many years.
That's good.
That is
nature.
turning. Okay, Melbourne.
Tell me more about that.
Ooh, amazing! Is that a tree?
Yes, Melbourne. There's
And you're
lots
the
of
most
trees.
patient. You're the most patient person, Theo. But like for some reason, okay. But here's the thing: we can't. You played Celius, and Celius was sort of the butt of the jokes because he was like, "Oh, this guy." But we can't have another character, Matt, from you that's like this guy.
Oh, but why not?
You'll find it. It's fine, and we're not. I'm not going to harp on you about accents. That's not your strong
I
suit,
know.
but you have many other strong suits in role play.
I hope so.
So real briefly to kind of wrap this up, let's or just to kind of go to the last thing we're going to do here is let's go through your characters. So Jeff, let's go through Theo first, and I'm looking at the character sheet, as it were, and let's just kind of go through some of your abilities. We don't have to go through spells because that'll be more just like in play, but just more of like if there's specific things that you have like as a like what circle druid are you and that's
Yeah. So I'll start with the feats that I took. So the first one I have is the animal handler, which I'm proficient in and will let me as a bonus action command a friendly beast within 60 feet that can hear me. So it gives me a little more command of animals in there.
And do you have to roll for that or let me see. Oh, I see.
You can use a bonus action on your turn to command one friendly beast within 60 feet that you can hear that isn't currently following the command of someone else.
Gotcha. As long as they're friendly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I figure and anyway, I think it'll all kind of cascade together that I'll be pretty strong with animals with some of the other abilities. And then the other feat I took was medic, which gives me bonus to the medicine skill, and then this is pretty cool, during a short rest, I can clean and bind the wounds of up to 6 willing beasts and humanoids on a DC 15 wisdom check for each creature. On a success, if a creature spends a hit die during this rest, that creature can forego the roll and instead regain the maximum number of hit points that the die can restore. So it just like bonuses up everybody to take the max hit dice.
It's like a really good bandage job. It's like I'm just make this super clean and cauterize the wound, like just everything. Yeah. That's really cool.
Don't move. I'll fix it. Here we go.
Your short rest. Power. That's
yeah.
and can you you don't ever lose that? Is that's just like a automatic? Like it's not like so many times per day, or
Yeah, what?
you just have that ability?
Yeah, a creature can do so only once per rest, regardless of how many hit die it spends. So I couldn't. Doesn't seem like you could do it.
If they have a max of 8, they get 8. But if they do another hit die, then that's up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked at medic, and I think that was exactly what it was. Is if
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
You can only apply it to somebody until they've rested.
Yeah, but it's up to 6 people. So if it's like after a fight, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, and it makes it so like if you roll 2 1s on your hit die, it's like that's terrible. But at least they're gonna get one that's max, which is great.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
So that's your 2 feats.
And then for the circle, I went with Circle of the Shepherd, which obviously was like a match made in heaven for us.
It's perfect.
And 2 things that are pretty cool that it will give me. So, well, a few things it'll give me.
This is from Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Yeah. And so the first thing is I'll be able to speak and read Sylvan. Beasts can understand my speech, and I gain the ability to decipher their noises and motions. So like just more in tune with like, maybe I'm not speaking to them necessarily, but being able to really get in tune with what they're feeling, or if they're anxious, or what's going on with them. So being able to read the animals. And
so is it essentially speak with animals? Because there is a spell, speak with animals. Are we saying
it's not? It says most beasts lack the intelligence to convey or understand sophisticated concepts, but a friendly beast could relay what it has seen or heard in the recent past. Kind of like interview, like with Lassie, is how I kind of feel. Like, did someone fall in the well, boy? Ruff. Which way did they go? That way.
So it's able to read signals no matter what kind of beast it is.
Yeah.
Or animal.
I think like if you were,
they can like communicate, but they can't talk.
They can't talk.
I would take it.
All right. Yeah, I want to make sure we're clear with that.
Yeah. Just kind of like if we found a wounded animal, it could be like, what was it? Wolves, and it's like,
or you would be probably like, I might have you. It doesn't require any rolls, but I might say like, you get the sense from your speech of the woods is that this animal is in peril, like it's been through some sort of trauma, or it's
over there,
really happy or something like that, or it's kind of conveying that it keeps looking east, and you're getting the sense that it's probably something east,
for sure,
like that kind of thing.
Okay, absolutely,
cool. All right, so speech of the woods, that's nice.
And then I get a spirit totem, which is kind of like just a little buffer, like summon an animal spirit that kind of just has a 60-foot sphere around us. And it kind of gives some bonuses here. So I could take 3 different spirits, the bear spirit, the hawk spirit, or the unicorn spirit. And I really like the unicorn spirit. That's probably the one I'll use the most. And it says the unicorn spirit lends its protection to those nearby. You and your allies gain advantage on all ability checks made to detect creatures in the spirit's aura. In addition, if you cast a spell with a spell slot that restores hit points to any creature inside or outside the aura, each creature of your choice in the aura also regains hit points equal to your druid level. So if I had that and then cast like a heal wounds, everybody would get, +9. Everybody would get 9 bonus points or hit points. So like, it would just be this like big healing circle, which I think kind of fits into like his battlefield specialty.
Yeah. So, and then it says you can gain advantage on ability checks to detect creatures within the aura. So what's the aura?
It's 60 feet.
60 feet. So if
the 30-foot radius.
Does that mean like if you're in battle and you're fighting creatures, then everybody would know where they are if they're hiding?
Mm-hmm.
Now, druids also get wild shape, but you're kind of sort of take that in a slightly different direction as well. Yeah,
and so the thing that it's called is summon nature's ally. So where I will be at this level, kind of just like summoning in a spell, I can cast up to a CR1 animal, and it can be a flying animal too. So I could summon up to a giant eagle, which would be pretty awesome in some situations. And they get to last for a few hours.
Number of hours equal to half your druid level, rounded down, so it'd be 4 hours.
Yeah. The other cool thing, this wouldn't apply to them, I wouldn't think, but the next thing up in the Circle of the Shepherd is Mighty Summoner, which actually through reading this is how I was like, oh, well, I want to be a summoner. So at 6th level, things I summon get some buffs. So creature appears with more hit points than normal, 2 extra hit points per hit die it has, and the damage from its natural weapons is considered magical for the purposes of overcoming immunity and non-magical damage. So like stuff that
magical talons, magical bite,
like it's just could take out all kinds of stuff. So like, yeah, I'm pretty pumped about summoning stuff. And I've made my spell.
As far as hit points, you already have like they already have their hit points with a buff.
Yeah, so when I summon them, they'll come in stronger. 2 points per hit die.
I think that's the main thing. And your background was
Clan Crafter.
Clan Crafter, was there anything in that? I mean, their proficiencies obviously Dwarvish. You speak Sylvan, History, Insight proficiencies, respect of Stout Folk.
Yeah, so
you always have free room and board in any place with shield dwarves and gold dwarves dwell. Okay.
Yeah, see, that's kind of more specific to like a specific clan. I'm just thinking more like he's like a tradesperson. Like he knows how to shear a sheep and then turn that into cloth and wool, and like knows how to do. So like I gave him some, if this is all right, like in the equipment, he has like weaver's tools and like some different things like that. I think he would also
looming tools, maybe, or you knit.
Yeah, like he just knows how to do that stuff because that's what you do when you have
I mean, if you're working with wool, you're going to know how to knit,
because you have to turn it into something. And
I like the idea of, instead of dwarf specifically, maybe it's like there's like a realm farmer card or something. Like there's some sort of like any place that farms, you can stay with a farmer, or like
And I think one thing too, I know him traveling, with Rebecca. I mean, he's gonna want to be, collecting sheep's milk and making sheep's milk cheese out of that, and so that's kind of.
Ooh, it's so delicious.
Yes, it takes a lot of craft to do those things that we have here. My bit is I'm just going to do a different accent. A new craft.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the idea behind that. Is I was thinking he's always like making something, like in the off time. It's like a couple more stitches of this, and like he's like made like a sweater or something. It's like I'll have some cheese, and I'll send you off with a little gift basket.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
that's so cute.
The clash of cultures that's going to happen with some of these other characters is going to be amazing.
Yeah, because it's Deidre, Yenny, and Jarek?
Igneous.
That's right.
Igneous.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, you know what? I'm not, since Igneous is there, I'm not going to try and do an accent. I'm just going to make my voice a little lower and slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the cadence thing is probably the big, if you can get that in there.
Just talk with little gaps
gap
in
here.
Between.
Yeah.
I mean,
here and there.
With
a deeper voice.
That's what I did with Branch, except I just threw
You could go, oi, I think maybe oi.
You gotta have a sound so you can drop into
Maybe he's just constantly hiccuping, like, well.
I hiccup.
No, I think the breaths and the gap. Like, I mean, that's kind of like he's trying to think of the words.
And is Common his native language? Did he grow up speaking Orcish or whatever first? Because then that also might explain why he has the bit of that pause.
It's probably Orcish, and then he learned Common, then he learned Sylvan through study.
I don't know. I don't know that his clan was so like isolated.
Yeah.
I think they would have been doing business with people. I think that's what, whenever traders would come by and be like, oh, I wonder where they're going. I wonder what they're up to. He's got a bit of a curious nature to him. So yeah. And,
awesome.
Do we want to talk about the items?
Sure. Yeah. Tell us about the items. So I told Matt and Jeff to pick out I think 2 lower level magical items, like or some sort of interesting oddball items, that would just be kind of interesting to have, in addition to their normal equipment that they got from their background and ancestry and class. Or they could have I think they could have one additional like higher level rare magical item, just because at this point, level 9, they probably have seen some stuff and they're going to find or be acquired or be given or something like that a rare magical item of some kind. So what did you pick?
So with your permission, first is Boots of the Winterlands are just a like resistance to cold damage, ignore difficult terrain on ice or snow, and then tolerate temperatures as low as -50. I don't know if he needs the resistance to cold damage, but I'm just thinking like, being out, he would have had a good pair of boots.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
And for his like curiosity item, I found the bag of beans.
Oh yeah, I know the bag.
Yeah, so yeah, it's there's like a bunch of these random beans, and then you can plant them and wait a minute and water them, and then like random things happen. So I'll just read a couple of examples from the things that could happen.
No, wait, hold on. I don't want you to say any of them. I have there is a bag of beans. If you want to look it up. But if you have an experienced bag of beans,
great.
Then get ready for
perfect
the Jeff Frank special.
I'm going to try very hard not to look this up just because I want to be surprised.
I would say just don't forget about it.
Don't forget.
Like I'm not going to be like, did you have anything you want to plant before you leave?
Anything to plant?
It's Jeff. He had ball bearings. I mean, come on. He's going to use it.
Hey, I also got a bunch of other kits and stuff, so I could.
And then what else do you have?
All right, so my other main thing was Staff of the Woodlands, which I will, if that would be a replacement for his like quarterstaff shank shepherd's crook thing. It's a magic quarterstaff plus 2 bonus to attack and damage. It has 10 charges, and some of the spells it could do are Animal Friendship, Awaken, Bark Skin, Locate Animals or Plants, Speak with Animals, Speak with Plants, or Wall of Thorns are the things that you can do. And also really cool is you can take an action and you can plant it into you can plant the staff into the ground and it will turn into a giant tree, and then you can like unturn it into a tree like later and like pick it up. So like if you wanted to make a
you
tree,
can just turn the staff into a tree, but that doesn't stay there.
No, it will like it will untree and revert to the staff.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. I was like, that's
kind of random, but super cool.
Yeah.
What if you cut off? Like, what if you cut down the tree, or like?
Then it has a little divot in it or something.
Yeah, it says it has a faint aura of transmutation, so like somebody that could use detect magic could see it, But if they don't know that, then if they try to cut the tree, then it would probably just end the spell. Or we'll find out if somebody tries to cut the tree.
Yeah,
you break off a branch for kindling.
I think that's good. That's a pretty powerful. It's a rare item, so I like that, and it's got charges, so you have to kind of manage that, and and it's good, and it's like certain things require more charges than others, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be anything. Like, just like it might be nice to speak with plants or do a. One of the other little random things at some point. Mm-hmm. I just have to remember that it's there.
You have your speak with animals, and you have animal friendship. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure awaken.
So that's a really cool spell, which is basically.
Oh, is that the like bring a plant to life or bring an object to life or something?
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Which is cool. Really cool. So.
I watched a great video.
Hey,
there was a great TikTok I saw the other day where someone was like walking through some weird things you could do with Awaken and transmutation and some other things to like be really messed up. Oh, it was true polymorph and Awaken and like the horror that could come from that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, you are a chair. What?
And just on a side note, I saw you put Ring of the Ram in there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take that out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably one or the other. So like a staff or the ring, but
I think the staff's better. The ram is just like
it's
Green
it's
Lantern
just force damage.
force
but
damage, which
it also seems a little out of character.
yeah, I agree.
Okay. Yeah, but you can say I would say the staff is your quarterstaff. So I mean it it's gonna do the D8 plus 2. So all right. Awesome. So that is Theo. Let's hear about Melbin. Matt, tell us about Melbin's kind of special abilities as a paladin.
All right. So let's see. So he's got your sort of standard paladin things. He's got divine sense and lay on hands. And then you said not to go into spells, so I won't go into all those.
We'll figure out spells I think during gameplay, just to kind of keep it interesting.
I picked the dueling fighting style.
Okay.
So that gives me a +2 bonus to damage rolls with a weapon. As long as I only have one weapon, a one-handed weapon, and no other weapons in my hand, then I'm good. Which is what I've been going with. And then I'll skip. I'm actually going to jump to my feet because it goes along with that, which is I picked Shield Master as my feat.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So he's going to be a shield plus hammer. And actually, I wanted to ask you. We'll come when we get to the items. I have some things I wanted to mix up a little bit. Where was I? Okay, so dueling gives me all that fun stuff. Shield Master's good. Under my oath, I've got the Oath of the Ancients. I've got Nature's Wrath. That lets me use Channel Divinity to effectively ensnare people, ensnare creatures within 10 feet of me. And
it's kind of like a not grasping vine, but it's like difficult terrain and makes it hard to.
Yeah, but it actually restrains them. It doesn't just...
Oh, it restrains them. Okay, great. Within 10 feet. Okay, yeah.
And then there's
they have to make a save. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's Turn the Faithless, which, like Turn Undead, but I could use it on Fae and Fiends. That's what that one was, which I thought was interesting.
Okay. So not undead, but...
Yep. So something different to play with.
Huh. Okay.
And then get the extra attack, which will be fun. And then Aura of Protection. So whenever a friendly creature within 10 feet of me makes a saving throw, they get a bonus that's equal to my Charisma modifier, which is +4.
Nice.
If I'm awake. If I'm asleep, doesn't count.
Right.
And then,
so you'll have to remind people like, oh, +4 because you're within 10 feet.
Yeah. And then Aura of Warding, which is... Where'd it go? Me and friendly creatures within 10 feet of me have resistance to damage from spells. So he's a nice tank.
That's cool.
I like this character.
So they have to be close to you, and if they're close to you within 10 feet, then they get basically like half damage.
Yeah, half damage from spells. They get their
spells.
Yeah, and then they get the +4 to the saving throws. So if you're close to me,
wow, that's cool.
I think I think you and Yenny and Iggy are gonna be good friends. Just the three of you just charging in and going crazy on something.
And I've got like 20 AC. So.
Oh boy.
So what? Tell us about the items that you picked out.
Okay, so
and your weapons that you're going to be using, because if you're dueling, you'll have like a big weapon and a small weapon.
No, not dual. D-U-A-L, D-U-E-L.
Oh, okay.
So it's one-handed weapon and a shield in my case.
Okay.
If I have another weapon, that +2 goes away. So I can only have one-handed weapon.
Gotcha.
So I have a Warhammer as my Warhammer +1 is what I picked for that. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to see if I wanted to kind of go with like Stormbreaker for that and have an axe on one side, like a war axe on one side, hammer on the other, because I just really dig that. So you get the
absolutely
bludgeoning on one side, slashing on the other. Seems fun.
Let's do it.
And then his shield, I went with a Sentinel shield, but I want to mix it up a little bit. I think just from how it looks, but in general, like it gives you advantage on initiative rolls and wisdom checks, perception checks specifically.
There is a shield. It's more for flavor. That's like Shield of Faces or something like that, where you can like change the look of it every time, which I thought was always kind of fun. So maybe you could do something where it's like you could change the shield's color, or you could change what it like the the texture of it, like shield bark or shield,
Or you could
shield water.
you could put a classical painting on it, since you like beauty and.
Because otherwise it's just like an eye, and I'm like, I don't dig that as a like aesthetically for him. So
I like the idea of like doing some sort of like it can give you like a plus to stealth, or it can, I'd say like there's some sort of defense bonus, like makes it like you'd say mirror or something like that, and then it's like they have disadvantage to hit you, but it's a reaction or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with just the initiative advantage on the shield if we want.
That's good too.
But I just don't want it to look the way they described it.
You can have it look however you want.
Awesome.
And if it's something cool that doesn't matter, like I can change the color or whatever I want to change it to, then we'll go for that. Too.
Cool. And then
give off a scent or like who knows.
And then the other thing I have, since I'm a human, I want
because it's a sentinel shield. See?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's a scent with the C.
It's a sentinel.
SC sentinel.
Oh boy.
Yeah. What is that odor?
And then it could be something nature sense. It's like, it's giving off the scent of lilacs. Today it's rosemary.
Daffodils? How about the
and
all right, I'm gonna make a wild
smell chart.
Yeah, and then every day you'll roll and we'll see what it is.
Oh no, it smells like musk.
You don't need to make a chart. Just get the Jelly Belly list of flavors, and that's what it is.
Today it's popcorn.
Fresh cut grass.
Oh no, boogers.
The cool thing with the shield master is I get to shove people with my shield if I attack.
Yeah, that's a great ability.
That'll be fun. And then
okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Okay, what
no
else?
worries. And then the other magic item I picked was my Warhammer and Battle Axe are just plus Warhammer, Battle Axe, Ham Axe thing is +1. But then I picked Goggles of Night since I'm human. I want to be able to have some dark vision. But I don't like. I want to put it in the helm if that's cool. Same idea. Okay. But just basically it just gives you dark vision when you're wearing it.
Okay, so so you're wearing a helm in battle, but they have sort of dark vision lenses.
Yeah, because the goggles just don't suit his character at all. But otherwise, that. Yeah.
Cool. That'll be interesting to draw.
Yeah. So, and it looks like between Theo and Melbourne, we're going to have a fair bit of healing available to people. So that'll be nice. So,
you're going to need it.
I believe that.
I'm just saying that because it sounded cool. I have no idea what you guys are going to go up against, but
dragons, nothing but dragons.
At level 9, you never know.
Yeah, you could throw some.
You never know. Stuff. So I guess that's a good thing to end on. Is as players, and we've talked about this a little offline, but is there anything based on what we've done so far, like enemies we haven't fought, types of things we haven't done, or things that you would want to do? I know, Matt, you kind of mentioned something in our Discord, but what things would you like to see in this season 5 of Knights of the Roll Table?
I mean, I can go into what I talked about in the Discord if you want. Yeah, so what I was saying there was basically it would be nice to see us being able to use our out-of-combat abilities more, like some more scenarios like that. The escape from, what was the name of the city we all escaped
checks.
From? Yeah, the skill check thing we did at the top of season
challenge.
2. Skill challenge, yeah. That was awesome. Things like that, especially with like what Jeff's character is going to have. It'd be really fun to see to things that are going to make us have to think out of the box, but outside of combat is always fun. So more challenges outside of combat that's always my favorite bit. I
definitely agree with that. I like skill challenges. I know we kind of did 2 or 3 of those in season 2, and I was trying to do ones where it wasn't just like it's a competition, although that happened once or twice. So, but yeah, I like the idea of like incorporating that a little bit more, and that's a great suggestion. Jeff, anything?
I'm looking forward to just not editing. Like you do whatever you want. If I don't got to open audition for another few months, I am perfectly happy.
I got your back.
Yeah. Honestly, I love making characters. So if you want to kill my character and let me make a new one, I love making characters. It's honestly the funnest part to me is like thinking of a character, like looking at some skills, coming up with a character, coming up with a story, like figuring out a way that like they make sense to themselves and to give them some things to look for and do. Either really anything. I've always pleased with what you guys come up with, and I know it's going to be great. So I don't have any specific requests.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. We'll definitely make it interesting. And my only thing is just go for those interesting choices. Like, I mean, we can always play off the book, but I think the best moments that we've had in the podcast as players and as listeners, when we listen to it is when it's like, let me do this crazy thing that I don't think this is going to work, or can I try this ability, or I don't even know if this does this, or, like stuff like that is always the most fun, because when it works, it's amazing. And when it fails, it's also amazing. So if it just, I'm going to hit it again, then we kind of feel that, redundancy. But if it's something kind of crazy, maybe there's other things to do besides attack as your action. Like you can hide, you can help, you can run.
All of our way of approaching a castle at the end of season 1, and we had the camel, and we had the jumping, and we had the arrow that Gravely shot that managed to that kind of thing is so great. I love that. Like, I remember that better than I remember anything else.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you, Jeff and Matt, for joining me on session 0. And the other thing I'm going to say, and this is going to come out probably after we've recorded the first session, but for the first session, it's actually just going to be us 3. So the others are not going to be joining us right away. It's going to start with you 2, and they're not going to be joining until at some point later. They will be joining us, but we're going to start with Theo and Melvin, and at some point we will run into these other characters, but I'm not going to say when. So they'll have a little bit of a break, and then we might run into some other characters, but it'll give a chance for like a smaller party dynamic, and then we'll see what happens when you guys run into, or if you run into, hopefully you'll make it to that point.
Melvin, let's just give up this life and we can just start a farm over here. What do you say?
Ooh, that sounds like a great idea.
Oh boy, what have I done? Thank you guys for listening to Knights of the Roll Table, and go out and make life an adventure. We'll see you next time, and listen to season 5.